Guys, let's talk about how I make money selling gym equipment. So what's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Recently, I have been asked so many times, Stephen, what do you do? How do you do it? How do you make money at it? And this video is a little unconventional than the way we've been doing things. We're doing it more documentary style. I really wanted to sit down and take the time to make this video to kind of explain to people what I'm doing and how I do it, in the sense that it's very difficult to do what I do. And so in this video, we're gonna go back. If you have not seen the Super Fitness Story, which is my very first YouTube video, please go back and watch that. And that kind of gives the insights on some of my background and my 17-year journey doing this. But now I'm gonna go to more of the business side of things and elaborate more on how I buy the equipment, what it takes to buy the equipment, and honestly, how I haven't failed 10 times over. So watch this and check it out. So for those of you who do not know, I sell gym equipment all around the world. And some of the likes of people that I sell gym equipment to is celebrities, home gyms, some of the biggest facilities in the country. For example, we have sold to The Rock, the Mr. Olympia for the show, Dragon's Lair for my boy Flex Lewis, Joe Gibbs Racing for NASCAR, Redcon 1 down in Florida, Elevation Fitness, Dave Bautista in his home gym, Revive and Raw for Bumstead, Matt, and Dominic, Wolf Fitness in New Jersey, and countless others around the world. In 2006, I opened up my gym, and I really reiterate this on the Super Fitness Story, but I was just a young guy trying to make it in the gym business and realized really fast that I did not have enough money to buy new gym equipment. During that time period, there wasn't really anything like what I do now that existed. I remember calling Life Fitness, Hammer Strength many times. Nobody called me back. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. And in 2008, the economy started crashing. My gym is struggling. I'm going around, and mom and pop gyms are going out of business. And I'm going around with pickup truck and trailer, buying 2 or 3 pieces at a time. That's kind of where the gym equipment started, was just out of a necessity for my own gym. And when I started selling gym equipment, not at all to even make money, I realized there was a big need for not only the gym equipment, but there was a big need for people that wanted commercial grade gym equipment for their home. And I wasn't really making money. I was just kind of utilizing the equipment for free. And that was a win-win for me. And so at that point, I said, you know what? Wow, there's a big need for this. Let me do a little more due diligence and stuff like that. And I realized that I was kind of in like a little niche market, but in the back of my head, I was thinking to myself, how do I fund this operation? I don't have warehousing, box trucks, forklifts. I have nothing. It was me and my right-hand guy, Bryce, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, Amber, going around literally pickup trucks and trailers, delivering and picking up equipment. And so that's kind of how the business started, just out of literally necessity, robbing Peter to pay Paul. A lot of people don't understand that there's really nobody to turn back to or fall back on. The banks, when you're new in business, especially whether you're in the gym or gym equipment business, they're gonna somewhat not really want to do business with you because they think the gym business is so risky, much less the equipment business that somebody like me needs a shitload of cash on a constant basis. You know, I could get a phone call today, guys, that, hey, this gym is closing next week. You know, let's say I offer them $125,000 for the gym. I have to have this money on demand, and to not know when I'm gonna sell the equipment. Prime example, when I make huge orders from companies to have the equipment in stock to fulfill your needs, you're buying a whole gym from me and you want 3 pieces of Cybex, 6 pieces of Arsenal, 7 pieces of Hammer Strength, plus 40 pieces of used equipment that I already have. I have to front my money to buy all these lines of equipment in order for you to get your 3 pieces. That is very difficult. And a lot of the banks, for instance, don't even understand what I'm doing. My bank does know what I'm doing now, but I'm referring to this almost 20 years ago. And I was laughed at a long time ago from a lot of people thinking that I was just absolutely crazy. And honestly, I thought I was crazy at times because I would sit here and think to myself, what would happen if people stopped selling their gym equipment? What would happen if people stopped buying their gym equipment? And I was just so passionate about the fitness industry and about, about equipment, and I was fascinated. I would do so much research on equipment and the biomechanics and the engineering of the equipment. And I'm talking Arthur Jones, Nautilus, back in the day stuff, that I was kind of like very nerdy with the equipment. And I think that's what separates me from the rest is I don't get scared of the what ifs, because I would literally sleep here at this warehouse in order to make it work. And I have some crew that work for me that would do the same. And so that's the biggest deal as far as the risk goes. People just don't understand how risky this business is. And it's because you got to lay the cash out in order to have the inventory. And I'll always say this, if you don't have something within business, you can't sell it. If you're a gym owner listening to this and you don't have the X, Y, and Z in your gym that the bodybuilder, that the fitness person needs, or your clientele needs, I promise you they're going somewhere else. It's no different than within my business. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts for me. I have to have everything at this point in order to sell it. A lot of people ask me, they're like, Steven, they walk in my warehouse and they're so overwhelmed that they'll stand at my front door and their mouth hits the floor, and they've never seen nothing like it. I've had people fly in from around the country and they're blown away. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I look around every day and I'm in shock sometimes of not only what we've created, me and my team, but what a lot of people don't understand. And I'm gonna talk about the brass tacks here. Let's take Flex Fitness, a line that's not been in production for many years. And I go and buy a gym with two pieces of Flex Fitness, and I paid $80,000 for the entire gym, but I pulled these two pieces out. A lot of times I will stick those two pieces in the back till I build a whole line. So I go and buy another gym for $120,000. And let's say a gym can be all over the board of what I pay. It depends on what's in it, how much is in it, $50,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so what happens, I have to go to build a 14-piece line of Flex Fitness. It might have took me 6, 8, 10 gyms to acquire those pieces. So now the cash I am just sitting on within the warehouse to make small, sometimes profit margins. So what most people don't understand is, in order to run my business, and why I think there's not a ton of people doing exactly what I'm doing, it is insane, risky. I have the best relationships with my bank. But when I tell you that gym equipment, if you go to the bank, and anybody knows this who's ever been to the bank to get gym equipment, they find this very, very risky. And if they loan you money, the interest rate's gonna be super high. So a lot of people come to me and I make it easy for them in the sense that I'm a one-stop shop. They can get Flex Fitness, Cybex, Hammer Strength, Life Fitness all in one spot, ship out. I save them thousands of dollars on the shipping and installation part. That's where a lot of people will make a lot of money on you on those things. And that's where I save the customer a lot of money. So there's a lot of back end stuff that we can talk about, but I definitely think that most people don't realize the amount of cash flow that I have to put out in order to bring back in a small profit margin. From probably 2006 on, I was headhunting gyms and stuff like that. And what ended up happening over the years, I kind of become a name in the industry through the banks, through the gyms, through YMCAs, from big gyms to the small gyms. And they get my number or they hear about me from other people in the industry all around the country. We also on my website have a thing that says, sell us your equipment. And so a lot of people hit us up for that. But Basically, my warehouse, and you can look at another YouTube video, it's 178,000 square foot, and we go through the other video of showing the other warehouse, of all the equipment in the warehouse. We buy equipment literally weekly. The other day I bought out a little studio. We do a lot of apartment complexes. We do a lot of hotels. A lot of people don't think about that. A lot of hotels, from your Hiltons to your Marriotts, have a lot of very nice equipment that is very gently used. That's the type of equipment that I like to buy, especially the cardio, that is very gently used, that I can sell to the homeowner for pennies on the dollar. So a lot of my stuff comes from a lot of places that probably people don't even think about. So a hotel, for example, has to have new equipment usually every 3 years to hold the flagship of the Marriott or the Hilton or whatever brand they are. They have got to buy new equipment, even if their equipment looks brand new. A guy like me will go in and install the new equipment and take out the used and sell it to you guys for pennies on the dollar. On the flip of what I was just explaining about, I also buy a lot of gym equipment for gyms that are failing. And so a lot of people don't understand. They have a lot of gyms in the world that don't make it. And it's honestly, it hurts my heart to have that conversation with someone. Sometimes it's not that the gym is failing. Maybe their rent went up after their lease term. Maybe they made some bad decisions. Maybe they signed a lease agreement that was just way too much, or they went in the prime location of the city where over here they could have been one street over with half the rent. There's always a lot of determining factors with why a gym is closing, but a lot of times what ends up happening, I will get the phone call from the gym owner or the bank who has financed the equipment. And what ends up happening is the gym owner is trying not to lose his home, things like that. So they call a guy like me to help out. And I don't want to say repossession, but it's almost a way of like not getting your equipment taken. And so I come in, pay off the debts, and still I'm able to sell the equipment for pennies on the dollar to the other party. So it's like a win-win for everybody. We as a company can make a little money. I'm getting the gym owner out of the debt and the bank's getting paid for. Me doing that so many times over the years, that one person that leads to the next person that leads to the next person. And so that's one of my number one questions I get asked is, where do you get gym equipment from? Literally from the homeowner will sell me their equipment, to the apartment complex, to the big gym owner, to other local installers that will go pull equipment out. They will sell me their equipment too. So there's a mass number of ways that I get equipment. Obviously, everybody knows the number one thing that most people want for their home is a treadmill, an elliptical, a Stairmaster. Cardio is probably going to be the easiest, but there's also some key pieces that are within my array of gym equipment that is very easy for me to sell. For instance, a functional trainer cable crossover, a leg press, things like that. The hardest things that most people probably don't realize that every gym has, that I literally probably have a couple hundred in the back, is like a back extension, some abdominal crunches. Everybody knows abs are made in the kitchen. I personally haven't used an ab machine in a long time because my diet keeps me in check. And I personally like to do hanging leg raises. That to me is the best abdominal work. But most gyms, they'll have those 2 or 3 back extensions and abdominals in the back, and that is very hard to sell as a single. Now, we will sell a lot of them in a complete circuit because most gyms, when we upfit, they want one of each. But as far as selling as a single unit, that to me is probably the hardest pieces to sell. Where do we make the most money? I get asked this all the time, and I'm very honest with people. A lot of people come to me, and so I have a lot of different array of clientele. I've got the home gym guy who walks in to get plates or dumbbells or kettlebells. We don't make much, pennies per pound off that person. But on a single retail piece, my price is my price on a single piece. But when we're doing a full gym package in bulk, we cut the prices down, of course, when I'm building out somebody's home gym. So we make the money as far as a full gym on bulk volume, but it's much smaller percentage. The person that wants to come cherry pick, and I preach this to people all the time, if you want my one piece, that is my price. And there's probably gonna be a little more margin on a single piece. But I always tell my customers, I tell them, I'm like, hey, in bulk, it is going to save you money. And the biggest thing that most people don't think about on the saving of the money, that if you're buying a single piece from me and the freight to get that there was $500, $600, $800, sometimes $1,000 for a single piece. If we can ship you a truck that saves you a ton of money and ship 8 pieces on that at once, that's going to save you thousands of dollars in freight. So sometimes it's not even about the equipment cost, it's the shipping cost that can factor in so much. I had a guy here yesterday buying some plates and kettlebells, and he says to me, he says, hey man, thanks so much, you saved me $200-ish. That may not sound a lot from somebody. My plate was pretty much the same price that he could have found online, but he came and picked it up, so there was no cost for shipping. So that's where I saved the customer a lot of money. But as far as my clientele goes, you've got the hotel buyer, the home buyer, the full gym buyer, or the big home gym is getting super, super popular. And when I say big home gym, guys, I'm talking about people spending, $100,000 on their home gym setup, which may sound crazy to some people, but I always tell people like this. I had a client not long ago, and he had 6 old cars, and he told me the value of those cars were over $100,000 a piece. And so he wanted to invest about 50 grand in his home gym. So he said, I'm going to sell one car. To some people, if I said, hey, go spend $50,000 on your home gym, yes, that sounds crazy. But for others that have motorcycles and cars or certain toys sitting there that have a high value, it's not. And I always tell people the best investment you can make is in yourself. So if that's going to make you look good, feel good, function better, it's a great investment. So to directly answer the question of where technically we make the most money, I guess we would 100% make the most money on the full big several $100,000 gym upfit that we're doing because of such volume of equipment. Granted, our margins are going to be much, much smaller. But at the end of the day, what I typically do, I'm saving the person a lot of money and we're making money. So it's a win-win for both parties. And most people really appreciate not only my prices, but all the consultation and things like that I give them in my mind, and where to spend the money over here or to pull back over here. So to me, I'm much more than just a gym equipment sales guy because I'm giving them so much advice. People have offered to pay me a lot of money for consultation, and I always tell everybody, and I'd like to say it on camera, when you come to me and you're buying your whole gym from me, I give you my undivided attention, and I'm giving you all that for free. One thing that we sell that a lot of people don't think about until they're building a home gym or a big commercial gym or hotel, it doesn't matter, is the flooring. Years and years ago, I kept getting asked for flooring and the margins are not great. I started selling gym floor, and I was astounded of how many of my people need flooring. And so that is one thing that we sell that a lot of people don't even realize sometimes we sell, but I get asked literally every day is, hey Steven, my gym is opening, I bought all my equipment from you, who does your flooring? And I'll say, oh, we do the flooring. And they're like, really? And I kid you not, sometimes they'll get a price from somebody to do their flooring, and my cost on the floor, or my quote to them on the cost of the floor, is half of what they're getting. And we're already shipping trucks to them anyway. So it's a win-win. But we sell a lot of things, but the floor is probably the number one thing that we sell that a lot of people don't think about, that has nothing to really do with gym equipment, but something that everyone needs. The gym equipment that's gonna cost me the most amount of money to buy at the moment is probably your Nautilus Explode pieces, your Flex Fitness plate load pieces, some of your Strive or Prime plate load pieces. These pieces are getting so hard to find. I'll reference back to pre-COVID, from 2010 to, let's call it 2018. I used to literally have 100 pieces of plate load at all times of hammer strength. Strive, Nautilus Explode. I remember selling the Nautilus Explode pull down, which I love, for $1,200, $1,500. So I would buy that piece for $1,000 and I'd sell it for $1,200 back in the day. Now I've seen people asking 5, 6, 7,000 all, and the pieces are not even in pristine condition. So I base that off when I'm buying a piece, I base it off condition and all these other factors. But these are probably the high-end brands that are no longer being made is probably the number one thing that I'm paying the most amount of money for. I would do this for free because I just love fitness. I was the aspiring bodybuilder. I'll tell this, I had a lady a couple weeks ago, might have been 2-3 weeks ago, and I sold her a treadmill, and I kid you guys not, if you factor in labor and stuff like that, I probably didn't make $100 on her. And a couple weeks went by, I think this maybe 3 weeks ago, and she texted me saying, Stephen, thank you so much. My blood pressure has came down. I've been walking every day. And I gave her probably a 10-minute little pep talk of like, look, your diet's got to be in check. Don't buy this piece of cardio from me if you're not going to utilize it and stuff like that. That type of text and phone call is why I do what I do. It's not always just about making money. Making money is the byproduct for me of just being honest and a good business person. I always feel like if you give more, and a lot of people miss the boat. You don't have to give monetary or money. Giving somebody your time, your attention, your 2 minutes of your talk can go a long way in receiving back. And I've been paid back tenfold. But I was an aspiring bodybuilder, to answer the question. And I'll never forget, and I'll tell you this story. In 2007, a good friend of mine asked me, he said, Stephen, do you want to go to Las Vegas? And I said, yeah. I said, it was the Mr. Olympia weekend is why he told me. And he said, I've got a free plane ticket and a hotel stay. Because I didn't have a lot of money at the time, and I just opened my gym. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. I tell everybody, I remember eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, trying to diet, credit cards maxed out, not knowing this is when the economy was going into the shitter. Things were getting very expensive. I'm just a young guy trying to make it, and I printed business cards, and they were just probably some makeshift. I don't even remember what they looked like, and I was so excited, and I fly into Mr. Olympia, and I could not afford to get a ticket at the time. And so it kind of bothered me, but I went to the expo 2 days in a row and paid my way. And I was on national level bodybuilding at the time. And that was my dream, to be on that Mr. Olympia stage. And honest to God, y'all, I would have ate rocks if that's what it took me to get up on that stage. During that time, I'll never forget, I was going around, I was shaking hands at the Mr. Olympia, and for anybody who didn't know me, I would be like, hey, here's a business card. I just opened my gym. I'm selling gym equipment. My gym equipment business at the time was nothing. I mean, it was a byproduct of just not being able to afford gym equipment. I never even intended on it. I would call it more of a side hustle than a business. I tell people that I went around, and some of those handshakes that I made back then, and we're dating back, 17 years ago, it comes into fruition now because some of those people still remember meeting me at one of the shows, or, seeing my face, and they're like, oh, that's that kid from North Carolina. Or I would go to this show and they remembered meeting me at Olympia. I went and I took photos and just shook hands and had conversations. Sometimes you got to get yourself out there, not only to network. During that time period, I think those people, by meeting me and feeling my energy and my passion, really set me up for years and years later. There's a couple people, and I won't mention any names, but there's a couple people who had never bought equipment from me, but have sent me so much business over the years that I'm so thankful for them. And it's all because maybe they don't need gym equipment at their home and they're not gym owners, but they've met me or had 10 interactions with me, and they trust me for their people. Because I always tell somebody, your name and your handshake and your bond is everything. People will always remember how you treated them. I remember clearly waiting in line for an hour to meet certain people, for instance. If that person, I waited in line and then they up and left, and they left, 300 people waiting, people remember that. And I also remember the Jay Cutlers, for instance, who till the last person he met, he would stay at that line. And to me, I always, for instance, try to give somebody my undivided attention. When people fly in to here from around the country, I always, no matter how long it takes, I'm going to make you feel like family. I'm going to, just give you that time, because Whether you buy anything from me or not, I appreciate you spent money to fly here. It costed your time, it costed you money. So for me, I always think back to how I was. Anybody who's, let's say, trying to open a gym, or you're trying to get into the gym equipment business, or whatever it is, there is plenty of business to go around. We don't have enough gyms in America that if every person signed up for a membership. So just remember that. I've always tried to be good with my neighbor, not against them. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a completely different style. I get a lot of questions of people wanting to see a day in the life of Steven, a day in the life of my business, you know, what I have, what I'm into. I'm a collector of a lot of things. You could ask my wife if she was here. It would mean a lot to me if you guys would let me know in the comment section if you like this style of content, and feel free in the comments, ask us questions that we can help film for some of our others. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I always truly appreciate everyone watching. This video coming up is two gyms in a coastal town. I met these people years ago and they've really built something amazing, and I'm excited to show it off. One more boutique style gym, one barbell club, literally within 2 miles of each other. So stay tuned and see you on the next one.